In the serene and picturesque town of Hollowbrook, where the misty hills met the edges of ancient woods, a chilling legend had taken root in the hearts of its inhabitants. Generations of locals had passed down tales that sent shivers down the spines of children and kept adults looking over their shoulders. This was the legend of the Whispering Shadows, an enigmatic and haunting phenomenon that cast its ominous spell over the town like clockwork, unfailingly manifesting every year on the night of the harvest moon. Hollowbrook, with its cobblestone streets and quaint cottages, had always exuded an air of tranquility. But beneath the facade of peacefulness, an aura of unease loomed as the harvest moon approached. The townspeople whispered amongst themselves, their eyes darting to the moonlit sky with a mixture of apprehension and curiosity. The Whispering Shadows, as the legend went, were inexplicable entities that emerged from the depths of the woods when the moon hung low and full in the sky. In the days leading up to the harvest moon, an undercurrent of anticipation gripped the town. Shopkeepers lowered their voices when discussing the legend, as if the very act of speaking its name could awaken the shadows themselves. Elders exchanged knowing glances, their memories intertwined with the chilling accounts of their forebears. Children gathered around campfires, their wide eyes alight with a mixture of fear and fascination, eager to hear the tales of what lay beyond the veil of darkness. As the sun set on the eve of the harvest moon, an atmosphere of tension settled over Hollowbrook. Lanterns were lit, casting flickering beams of light that danced on the cobblestones like hesitant souls. Families huddled indoors, their windows tightly shut, as if barricading themselves against the unseen forces that would soon emerge. Even the town's animals seemed to sense the impending change, their nocturnal symphony subdued, as if in silent solidarity with the humans. When the moon finally ascended to its throne in the sky, casting an ethereal glow over the town and its surrounding woods, a collective hush fell over Hollowbrook. A thin mist wound its way between the ancient trees, obscuring the line between reality and the world of the supernatural. And then, in the stillness of the night, the whispers began, soft and haunting. Like a mournful melody carried on the wind, the whispers drifted through the air. They seemed to emanate from the shadows themselves, a chorus of voices from realms unknown. Some said the voices held the secrets of those long departed, while others believed they held glimpses of the town's uncertain future. Regardless of their origin, the effect was undeniable. Each year, the Whispering Shadows wove an inexplicable web of fear and fascination that left its mark on every heart and soul in Hollowbrook. One such night, as the moon hung heavy and radiant in the inky sky, its luminous orange hue casting an otherworldly glow, a group of curious teenagers assembled on the outskirts of the dense forest. Sarah, with her fiery red hair and an air of defiance, led the way. Beside her walked David, his eyes filled with skepticism, but a glint of curiosity peeking through. Emily and Mark completed the quartet, their faces a mix of trepidation and youthful excitement. The campfire they had kindled danced with an energetic fervor, its flames flickering as if in tune with the heartbeat of the very earth. Their makeshift circle of logs and stones cocooned them in a sense of camaraderie, an attempt to keep at bay the eerie ambiance that enveloped the woods at nightfall. Although they had grown up hearing the chilling tales of the Whispering Shadows, the four friends had dismissed them as nothing more than the embellished musings of the townsfolk, an elaborate concoction of superstition and folklore. Tonight, however, a spark of curiosity had ignited within them, daring them to venture into the forest and experience the legend firsthand. As the fire crackled, sending embers spiraling into the night, Sarah leaned in closer to the group. Her voice, a delicate balance of intrigue and apprehension, cut through the darkness. "You've all heard the stories, right?" she began, her gaze shifting from one face to the next, each illuminated by the fire's glow. "They say that when the harvest moon ascends, its light awakens something in the shadows," Sarah continued, her words infused with a mixture of reverence and doubt. "They take on a life of their own, moving in ways that defy the laws of nature. and in those whispers that emerge, truths of the past are revealed and glimpses of the future are unveiled. A flicker of doubt crossed David's face, his analytical mind struggling to reconcile the fantastical narrative with his rational beliefs. Emily's eyes, however, glinted with a blend of curiosity and unease, as if she were entangled in a tug-of-war between skepticism and fascination. Mark's expression remained unreadable, a mask of nonchalance concealing the intrigue that lay beneath. Around the crackling fire, the friends exchanged glances, the warmth of the flames doing little to dispel the icy tendrils of uncertainty that curled around their hearts. The very air seemed to hold its breath, as if the woods themselves were listening, eager to gauge their response to the age-old tale that had haunted the town for generations. As the harvest moon continued its ascent, casting an ethereal aura over the forest, the four teenagers found themselves at a crossroads. The legends they had brushed aside now loomed before them, beckoning them to test their mettle against the unknown. It was a moment suspended in time, as if the universe itself held its breath, waiting to see if they would venture into the heart of the Whispering Shadows mystery or retreat into the safety of skepticism. Little did they know, their decision would set in motion a sequence of events that would challenge their perceptions, unravel the boundaries between reality and the supernatural, and forever alter the course of their lives. Laughter, echoing with youthful exuberance, filled the crisp night air as the group playfully brushed off the eerie tale. The fire's dancing flames cast playful shadows on their faces, and the camaraderie that bound them was as palpable as the night's mysteries. With each hearty chuckle and dismissive gesture, they seemed determined to defy the uncanny atmosphere that had begun to settle around them. However, as the moon continued its ascent, its pale radiance casting a silvery sheen upon the landscape, the woods that had once appeared welcoming seemed to transform. What was initially an expanse of familiar trees now wore an unfamiliar shroud of darkness. The playful banter dwindled, replaced by an unsettling silence that stretched between them. Their once carefree demeanor slowly gave way to a palpable tension, like a string pulled taut, ready to snap. The moon, its glow now cold and distant, illuminated the forest with an intensity that seemed to penetrate even the densest shadows. Then, like a fragile echo from another realm, faint whispers began to weave through the air. Soft and indistinct, they carried a haunting melody, a siren's lament that sent icy tendrils down their spines. The laughter that had previously filled the void now seemed to be swallowed by the haunting chorus, as if the very woods had taken on a voice of their own. Unease crept over them, settling in the hollows of their hearts, and they exchanged uneasy glances that mirrored their growing trepidation. The once flickering fire seemed to waver, as if even its flames were uncertain in the presence of the unearthly sounds that now enveloped them. "Come on," David spoke up, his voice betraying a hint of unease masked by a veneer of skepticism. "It's just the wind playing tricks on us. You know how sounds can echo and bounce in these woods." Despite his attempt to rationalize the situation, the whispers continued to weave their eerie symphony, growing louder and more insistent with each passing moment. It was as if they were being drawn closer to the woods, like moths to a flame that promised both fascination and danger. Sarah, her expressive eyes now wide with a mixture of awe and fear, glanced at David, uncertainty etched across her features. She wanted to believe his words, to find comfort in the familiar logic that had guided them through life, but logic was powerless in the face of the inexplicable, a truth that the growing intensity of the whispers made all too clear. As the moon climbed higher, its pale light piercing through the branches above, the teenagers found themselves standing at a crossroads between disbelief and a burgeoning realization that the legends were not merely tales spun to entertain the curious. The very air seemed to thrum with the resonance of the whispers, each thread of sound pulling them further into a world where the boundary between the ordinary and the extraordinary blurred with every passing heartbeat. And so, beneath the silent gaze of the moon, they stood, suspended in a moment that defied reason and beckoned them to venture further into the enemy that was the whispering shadows. Suddenly, Emily's flashlight flickered and faltered, its beam weakening before plunging them into an all-encompassing darkness. The illuminated circle that had offered them a semblance of security was swallowed by the abyss, and a collective gasp escaped their lips. Panic surged through the group, clawing at their throats and electrifying their senses. The darkness was oppressive, a suffocating shroud that seemed to press in from all sides. Desperate fingers fumbled for their own flashlights, but as each one clicked to life, their beams were feeble and strained, barely piercing the inky veil that now engulfed them. The whispers that had been a haunting backdrop earlier intensified, their spectral voices now curling around them like tendrils of smoke, taunting and tormenting their senses. Whispers, seemingly distant yet intimate, seemed to come from all directions, insidious and persistent. As if the very air had been infused with the voices of the unseen, the teenagers felt as though they were trapped in a web woven by the whispering shadows themselves. A disconcerting awareness began to creep over them, a sensation that they were not alone, that they were being watched by unseen eyes from every corner of the forest. In the midst of their disorientation, a rustling sound, a peculiar rustling that defied the wind's touch, echoed from the depths of the trees. The rhythm of their heartbeats quickened, the cadence matching the urgency of the rustling. The collective tension was as palpable as the darkness itself. And then, emerging from the obscurity of the trees, a figure materialized, a spectral entity that seemed to step forth from the very heart of the whispering shadows. Its form was indistinct, blurred by the boundary between reality and the supernatural. The figure's face remained obscured by the enigma of darkness, casting it as an enigmatic silhouette. Frozen with fear, the group watched as the figure approached with an ethereal grace, its movements fluid yet unsettling. The whispers that had swirled around them like a symphony of the beyond seemed to be in harmony with this presence. And then, the figure spoke, its voice like the cold breath of the night, its words an icy touch upon their souls. "The past cannot be changed," the figure intoned, its voice carrying a weight of wisdom and sorrow. "The future is uncertain. Beware the whispering shadows." Each word, dripping with the weight of centuries, seemed to resonate with the deepest recesses of their being. It was as if the figure knew them, knew their doubts, their fears, their secrets, and now it whispered truths that chilled them to the bone. In a rush of terror, the friends' paralysis broke, and they scattered in a frenzy of movement. Panic propelled them through the underbrush, their footsteps a chaotic rhythm against the forest floor. Branches clawed at their skin, the very woods seeming to conspire against them as they stumbled blindly forward. The whispers followed, a sinister chorus that echoed their flight, their very essence seeming to meld with the darkness that pursued them. Fear became a palpable entity, each gasp for breath a reminder that they were being pursued by forces beyond their comprehension. As they fled deeper into the woods, the echoes of the chilling prophecy seemed to reverberate in their minds, a haunting refrain that underscored the night's horrors. The past was immutable, the future uncertain, these truths now etched into their very souls. And above it all, the whispering shadows continued their spectral symphony, an eerie reminder that some secrets were meant to remain shrouded in darkness. Finally, as if propelled by sheer desperation and a shared urgency, they burst through the dense foliage into a small clearing, their breaths ragged and their hearts pounding wildly in their chests. The sudden openness of the space offered them a momentary respite from the suffocating grip of the woods. Moonlight bathed the glade in an eerie, almost ethereal glow, casting elongated shadows that seemed to dance in harmony with the whispering shadows' lingering memory. Gasping for breath, they leaned on each other, their expressions a chaotic blend of exhaustion, wonder, and a newfound awareness. The once persistent whispers had fallen silent, their spectral voices swallowed by the clearing stillness. The air was thick with tension, the weight of what they had experienced lingering like a palpable presence. As their breathing steadied and the adrenaline coursing through their veins began to ebb, they exchanged wide-eyed glances that mirrored a mutual realization, an awakening that transcended words. The legends they had once regarded as the stuff of whimsical tales, woven by the imaginative minds of generations past, were far from fiction. The Whispering Shadows were no longer confined to the realm of hearsay. They were an undeniable truth that had woven itself into the very fabric of their lives. Years later, the memory of that fateful night still lingered within them, etched into the tapestry of their existence. The once skeptical friends had all, in their own time, left the town of Hollowbrook. They had ventured into the wider world, each following their own paths, yet forever carrying the weight of that night with them. The bonds that had been forged in the crucible of the Whispering Shadows remained unbreakable, even as time and distance tested their strength. The legend of the Whispering Shadows endured, a chilling reminder that some mysteries were better left untouched, some questions better left unanswered. Each year, as the harvest moon graced the sky once more, locals would gather around campfires, their faces illuminated by the warm glow. In hushed tones, they would share stories of that fateful night, the night when the shadows had whispered secrets from beyond. The stories would be spun anew, weaving their magic through the night air like an incantation. Some would speak of bravery, others of fear. Some would recount the whispers they heard, others the chilling presence they felt. As the tales were told and retold, the Whispering Shadows' legacy would continue to evolve, forever woven into the very identity of Hollowbrook. And so, even as the years rolled on and the world outside Hollowbrook shifted and transformed, the legend remained, an enduring testament to the power of the unknown and the indomitable strength of the bonds that had been forged that fateful night. The Whispering Shadows had irrevocably changed the course of their lives, marking them as witnesses to a reality that lay beyond the veil, a reality that blurred the line between the tangible and the supernatural. In the end, the tale of the Whispering Shadows was more than a story. It was a shared experience, a connection to something greater than themselves, a reminder that even in the darkest of nights, there was a haunting beauty to be found within the depths of the unknown.